technology innovations in property and facilities management. This session will be moderated by Sean Godoy, founder and director of Diversity South Africa, and will be in conversation with Femi Atinkunde, GMD Alphamead Group, and Lukman Edu, CVO of Fulma Realty Nigeria. So a very well-equipped panel who are going to be focused, or who are already entrenched in property and facilities management, as well as in how the tech sector is going to impact property and facilities management. So we look forward to the sessions, and I welcome my moderator and the panelists on, if you can ask to share audio and for us to let them onto the stage. Thank you. Just one moment while we let them on.
Hi, Ron. Just checking that we're connected.
Sean, we can't hear you. I think you might be on mute.
Let me check.
Yes, that's fine. That's fine. You can start the session. Perfect.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, we can hear you.
Okay, great. Sorry about that. It's always a waiting game to see if you're connected properly. Just you learn not to say anything rude until you know you're live. But yes, thank you, Kafir. Thank you to API. Great to be involved in WAPI again. That's a very interesting year to discuss all the topics around real estate, obviously with all the impacts and different things going on. So yes, I'm Sean Godoy. So I'm founder and director of Diversity Property Solutions, based in Johannesburg. And I'm also co-founder of the PropTech Africa Association, which is an umbrella organization to drive awareness and growth in the PropTech ecosystems across the continent, and we have various regional partners. So yes, we're interested in technology, and I'm quite excited for the session today, where we look at probably one of the areas of the real estate industry where there's the most scope for technology, and that is innovations in property and facilities management. So these are quite labor activity intensive areas of the industry, and also crucial areas to make sure your assets are running correctly and optimally. And this is for tenant satisfaction, retention, cost control, obviously, and value protection as well for these assets. You need to look after them and make sure they're using the right services, the right maintenance, etc. And there's a lot of obviously innovations coming around the buildings themselves, but with those innovations you need engaged and informed management to maximize obviously on all the very exciting things out there. So I think to start, I see I think Lukman will be possibly joining us a little bit later, but I think we'll start off with Femi. So welcome, Femi. Good to have you.
Thank you very much, Sean. Good morning.
Good morning. Maybe to start, if you could just tell us a little bit about yourself and your background.
Okay, thank you very much. And say good morning to everybody on the platform today. All real estate professionals and the organizers of API. My name is Femi Akintunde, as said. I trained as an industrial engineer, worked briefly in manufacturing as industrial engineer for Nestle, Nigeria, and then worked in Shell Petroleum, development company of Nigeria, where I worked in different organizations but significant part of my time was spent in the area of real estate and infrastructure. And today, I'm leading the AlphaMeet Group, which started as a facilities management company, but has thereon expanded to real estate development. We do design, construction, and using technology to build with wall tiles formwork technology, which builds one house in 15 days. And we are deploying that to middle income affordable housing in Nigeria presently. In AlphaMeet, we're very strong in technology. We've done a lot of work in designing and developing our own app, which we use for managing our various sites. We have well over 1,500 locations that we look after in the area of residential. And in terms of office space, over 1 million square feet of assets across 10 West African countries. So this is what we do. We have a number of proprietary technology that I'd like to share with the platform today that will help the advancement of technology application in property management and facilities management. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you very much, Femi. That's quite a varied and interesting background. Obviously, what your organization being involved in commercial, residential real estate, and then also having obviously developed in-house technology from what I understand is interesting because you get the different models. Technology can be produced outside of the industry by tech companies and then sold into the industry, or it's developed in-house. But I think it works well if you have a combination of tech and real estate skills. So obviously the model I think your organization's adopted is quite interesting, and I think it can be quite effective. So we'll obviously learn more about that. I think to start us off, if Lukman joins us, then he can jump in, but we're going to jump straight into the questions. So within, obviously, it's a very wide area of real estate, property, and facilities management, and each with their own specializations. Where do you, Femi, believe that the most opportunity exists for technology within these two practices and professions? And how well do you think African companies have embraced technology and technology and innovation within their property and facilities management?
Okay, thank you very much. And Lukman, welcome on board. I'm sure.
Good morning. Welcome, Lukman.
Good morning. Yeah. Okay. So there are two questions you've asked. Where are the opportunities for application of technology in the area of properties management and facilities management, and also my assessment of the level of application of technology in FM and property management in Africa generally. To start with the first one, I think it is important for us to take a global perspective. Available information, statistics shows that around 2017, application of technology in the real estate space reached the highest level. That was about $13 billion invested in that space. And two questions we should ask ourselves: where is the highest concentration? Where has technology found the greatest relevance? And where has it been? Why have we leveraged the opportunity technology offered us? Secondly, of this total amount, how much of it did we see in Africa to move the African real estate space forward? I would say that to be able to understand the impact of technology and how well it's been embraced, we should look at the total real estate life cycle, which starts from the planning stage, design phase, construction, commissioning, then operation and maintenance during the useful life. I would say that the bulk of technology application that we have seen so far have concentrated more around the design and the construction phase Operation and maintenance is where facilities management and property management actually play strongly. And in that space, the application of technology is evolving and evolving very, very fast. The challenge we've had over time is the low level of awareness, one, and also the requisite skills that are required to really, really move that industry forward, especially in Africa. We lack certain things that has made the application of technology very difficult in terms of penetration. Infrastructure, especially power infrastructure, remains a major challenge. Internet connectivity also is very, very key, because if you are talking of application of technology in the facilities management space, you must be connected, because the whole idea is that you want to apply it to enhance customer experience. And who are the customers? The customers are the users on one hand, and it could also be the landlord owner who has invested in real estate to improve its return on investment. And in that context, you are looking for technology that will improve tenant attraction and tenant retention. So once you have that, you are sure you are delivering value. And that, for me, is still at a very, very low level in terms of application of technology in Africa. But there's a lot of work that is going on at the moment. I think you are muted, Sean.
Sorry, there it is. Always tell yourself you won't do that, but anyway. Thank you, Femi. That was very interesting. And I like the fact you highlight the global investment, because it's important to look at the global picture when you're talking about technology, because a lot of things that are developed are applicable, in different markets where, the same property fundamentals, real estate fundamentals remain the same, even though if the makeup of the market's different. So there is that wave of investment, and I think we all need to try and work harder to get some of that coming into our African real estate markets, because it's good to hear that you yourself also are passionate about developing technology and innovation, because we've got so many examples of innovation across our industry, and also in finance, etc. So thank you for that. Obviously, the challenges are there as well with the opportunities, and infrastructure is a big one, but there's also the leapfrogging abilities of technology that are quite exciting. Luqman, welcome. Thank you for joining us. Just to start, if I'll ask you a similar question, but maybe if you could just introduce yourself briefly, please.
Hi everyone, sorry for joining in late. I was actually on the other side, but I couldn't get to the backstage, so I did hear the beginning of the thing. So yes, my name is Luqman Edu. I'm a second generation leader of Fillmore Realty. So I'm the second generation running the business. We're one of the oldest real estate companies like them, Alpha Mead. We've been in the game for a very long time. So we started off as a real estate company providing real estate services. We're currently providing it in I think 13 states. We're about 20 major clients. I've been able to exponentially grow, obviously with the application of technology to our business. Last year we set up our PropTech arm in collaboration with Microsoft. And as you well know, Sean, I think you could actually introduce my business. We've done so many of these together in the last couple of years.
Yeah.
But yeah, so we set up our PropTech arm focused on building technology for real estate in cities. So I think that's a quick snapshot of Fillmore Realty. But our focus, like Mr. Tunde here, my senior colleague in the industry, has been on the property and facility management. This year we're actually going into development too. So following the lead of Mr. Akintunde here.
Excellent. Yeah. Excellent. Thank you. It's been a pleasure. We have done a few of these together, and it's great to obviously hear of your activity and the work that Fillmore is involved in, and also raising the tide for technology, I think, in general. As Femi said as well, with organizations like yours doing this work. The future is bright and a lot of opportunities. Just to come back to that first question. So basically, it was around, within specifically property and the facilities management, services that you offer. And I know you've got a few products that you've developed and you're offering, which are quite interesting. So I just wanted to ask you, where do you believe the most opportunity exists for technology within these areas? And then in general, I also asked Femi, how do you think African companies have embraced technology and innovation so far? And maybe you could also speak to West Africa on that instead of a broader sense. So yeah, if we could have your thoughts on that, please.
All right. So I think I'll start by talking obviously on PropTech in general. I think that the challenges that we've had in the application of technology into the space is mostly obviously the huge how diverse the real estate industry is compared to the technology industry. I think I talk about this a lot, where generally real estate is essentially a very capital intensive industry. And because of that, it's run by, or it's led by a higher generation than the millennials who are obviously running tech, the millennials downwards who are running the tech industry. And I think that what that's done is that it's created a barrier to entry for tech spaces, where obviously typically tech companies are very asset light industries, and obviously trying to go into real estate, we're not really the ones in the real estate space. So we're now trying to bridge the gap and enter or partner with real estate companies who are traditionally a lot older, the people running these businesses. Obviously, things are changing as the millennials get older. They're also starting to play an active role in the real estate space. So firstly, I slightly disagree with one of the things that Mr. Akintade, Mr. Femi said here, where I think the biggest impact technology has made in the real estate space, I believe, is more on the transactional side. So obviously the letting and sales, where a lot of websites are up, obviously trying to rent and sell properties. Why I think, and it's obvious why that side is the most has the most action, because that is the space with the lowest barrier to entry. As Mr. Akintade knows now, especially in Nigeria, there's literally no barrier, no registration to become an agent, to be able to sell, and it's one of the biggest problems we have in this space. So riffraffs can come in. But basically, we have a huge letting and sales industry where anyone from the back of their car can become an agent to sell properties. And I think that's why there's been and obviously, so a lot of millennials, a lot of young people have gone into that business, and that's why we're seeing a lot of agency websites. Obviously, they are the top brands, people like Property Center or whatever, that have established themselves. There are a lot of smaller ones, or people selling on Instagram. You can actually defend or argue that people marketing their properties on Instagram is a form of prop tech, because it is providing a technology service using technology. So yeah, so I have seen. So I would say that there's a lot more activity on that side, and less activity if you start going backwards into backward integration, which is what Mr. Akintade has talked about, which is the planning, the architecture, the property management and such. So where we sit, that's Mr. Akintade and I, is obviously on the property and facility management side. So I'll go straight into that. I think that one of our unique selling points, that's Fillmore Realty, is the ability for us to be accepted in both sides of the industry. What I mean is that, as I said, I'm a second generation owner, so I didn't start Fillmore. Mr. Akintade has been running AlphaMeet and had a reputation before AlphaMeet in that space. I'm well aware of Mr. Akintade's background, and as I said, real estate is generally a very capital intensive. It's most of the time is people's biggest investment. And people's biggest investment means it's also their biggest risk. So there's been a very low adaptation of technology or any innovation because people generally do not want to risk their biggest asset. Why do I need what? And what I mean by that, not just on the technology side, but also looking at the new startup companies coming in and being able to hand over your business or hand over your biggest investment to a company that's just starting off, which is obviously generally what most tech companies are. So I think that has been the major, what's been one of the major bottlenecks in getting technology companies in, is that the people running the tech companies, which are millennials, they have a huge barrier of entry getting in to be able to provide their services to the real estate. At the same time, on the other side, real estate has been driven by higher generation, and the tech guys don't understand the real estate as much as people like Mr. Femi Kundede does, who have the experience of the real estate services. So there's really a huge disconnect between the technology and the real estate space. Apart from that, I would say that the second major bottleneck is the investment into real estate technology. And if you look at the past, right, and we look at past history, we look at the fintech space, which is obviously the sexy space now, or at least has been for the last couple of years. And if you look at it, generally, it is the industry itself that invests in the technology, where obviously in Nigeria, the fintech foundry was obviously driven by Access Bank and stuff like that. So really, it's up to companies like Mr. Femi and I to be able to invest in the PropTech space. No one comes out, no one's come, because we're the ones that understand the industry and understand the problems and all of that. So, and I think that is where the biggest challenge is right now, where we're not seeing much investment, but then the investment should be coming from us. So we shouldn't be thinking about VCs before VCs start coming in. Obviously, we're now, I mean, you know, Sean, I think that people are starting to catch up. We've seen the Brawls going into fintech, I believe. What's it called? And a couple of other guys are slowly building acceleration funds and stuff like that for the fintech space. But again, I think that as much as obviously real estate has always been a slow adaptation to new innovation and all of that. Again, I think he went back to the generation mismatch, where if you go into the fintech space, you're seeing younger CEOs taking on higher roles, right? It's been but if you go to the real estate space, you're still seeing a lot of older people running these industries and stuff like that. So I generally think that it's not just from an education from outside and the market's perspective, it's also from an education from an in-house industry perspective, where either there has to be better partnership between real estate companies and technology companies, because the honest truth is that real estate companies can't do it by themselves. They're not the leaders or the experts in the tech space, or younger people have to start taking more senior roles in the real estate space for us to see an acceleration in the real estate tech space. So that's my 2 cents. I hope I didn't talk too much.
Excellent. No, that's fine. Yeah, thank you. Very, very good points there. The 2 things I think that stand out again, what Femi touched on and what I said, was those models of, like you said, the tech coming from the outside, non-real estate people, and then they try into the space. I think there needs to be sort of mentoring and developing for companies like that, supported by the industry. And then the other thing is just that, like you said, if you look at, fintech has become the norm, and many banks, etc., across the world have had their own innovation hubs or accelerators, etc. Like you said, the fintech foundry in Lagos, supported by a major bank. We're not seeing that in PropTech in our sort of continents and our regions just yet. There's more activity actually in Nigeria, like as you say, with both of your organizations and the work you're doing. We need to see a lot more of that. In the South African context, we don't see the corporates driving this innovation. They are developing in-house products, etc. at times, which obviously is fine. They're using some of the services that are out there, but in our context, there hasn't been an accelerator or a program sponsored by a large real estate company. So obviously we'd like to see that more. And then obviously there's the mix between your own products that you're developing to use in your own portfolio, and then perhaps to sell, white label those. But on the whole, I think it benefits everyone if we have sponsorship for initiatives that that drive this technology growth and adaptation. And just the last thing, I know Luqman looks like we've lost him. I'm sure he'll be back, but he mentioned that generation gap, and it's something that comes up. But I feel like there shouldn't be any animosity between, you know, if there's young real estate professionals or tech people coming in, you know, there can be frustrations, but I think there needs to be understanding that, you know, real estate professionals and leaders with decades of experience, they've got a lot of insight that they just can't access overnight. So, you know, a bit more collaboration, and I think an understanding. You know, also an organization can't change overnight. So I don't think it's fair for the tech companies, you know, to put all the blame on leadership at times. But we're getting to a nice level. I think, you know, innovation, there's a need and a case for it. And I think all the parties need to work together. And I think the perfect point is when a real estate, you know, professional organization works with a tech company in whatever context that is. But Joe, thanks for that, Luqman. Femi, just to move on, I think you're based on obviously what you've told us about, and your organization is doing some very interesting things, and you have obviously a very long and accomplished career in real estate. So we're quite interested to hear basically your experience on the step-by-step process of implementing new technology and what pitfalls companies should be aware of, and then at the same time what mitigation measures have been put in place to ensure smooth implementation in your case. So this is a big question for a lot of you know, asset managers, also service providers, FM, property management, all the various people involved. So it'd be great to get a feel for your experience with this process.
Thank you very much, Sean. I mean, this is a very, very broad question, but I think it's very, very relevant to what we're doing. Because if you look at the real estate, we're talking of a nexus of two major life-changing professions: technology and real estate. The right connection between these two, we need to make sure that we understand it properly to be able to apply it to the advantage of solving humanity problem. And I would say that I will use the experience of our company to answer that question. When you want to apply technology to any endeavor, property management, for instance, and facilities management, the first thing you have to do properly, which I see that many people jump into technology application just for the sake of, me too. The Me Too concept can't work because a lot of investment is required, a lot of dedication, attention, and commitment. So you cannot get it wrong. If you get it wrong, it will be too expensive. So the starting point is defining the purpose. What are you up to? What problem are you trying to solve? Which part of the real estate space or prop tech are you trying to address? So the purpose must be very clear in your mind, and that is at the planning stage. There are clear 7 stages. And anything goes wrong at any of those stages throws the entire scheme off track. So the planning must be very, very clear. What are you trying to do? If it is property management, are you trying to solve a problem for the landlord, or you are trying to solve a problem for the tenant? Are you trying to solve problem for the users of the space, the residents, or the office users? So it needs to be clear. Then you define the objective. What are you aiming for? From your planning stage, you analyze the market and ask the question, the customers are interested in what? What are the things that will make them do it? What are the other available technology that is solving that problem currently? What are their limitations? And what gap are you trying to fill in the marketplace? That's the analysis space. From analysis, you now start going into the design. As to, I know what I want to do, I know the market, I know the customer, I know the gap I'm trying to fill. What is the process flow to achieve this objective? If you get that wrong, you'll be solving a wrong problem. And you just find out that your algorithm will never deliver the desired objective because the customer is not interested in the technical details of your solution. They're interested in the problem it solves for them. So sometimes when technology people come into real estate space, they get fascinated, they get carried away by how fanciful the solution they are bringing is, rather than the problem it's solving for the society. And that's why a lot of technology applications fail, because people don't think through that process very carefully. And then you move from design to developing the system itself, where you are actually building the system architecture, the database system, the program. Then you test it properly within certain parameters. If you say you are designing something for an estate to sell properties into the space, what type of properties are you going to be loading? Are you talking of commercial properties? If you are selling commercial properties, you'll be talking in square meter. If you are selling residential, you'll be talking in family units. And then you define that very clearly and let people see how it will meet their demand and their requirements. Then you move from there to the stage where you are looking at the implementation itself. Implementing a new technology requires you moving from an old system to a new system. So if you are doing it manually currently and you want to transit, how do you do it in a manner that it doesn't completely disrupt the space and you have continuity after that? Then the maintenance phase, how do I maintain it? What skills do I need? All this requires major investment. And that is where I agree with Lukman, that one of the problems we have in Africa is the underfunding of technology to support the property management space. It is grossly underfunded. And for those of us who are investing in, it's a big risk, but with that, we do it and keep it in-house because we cannot commercialize it. In AlphaMeet, we have developed 4 systems, major systems that took years and years of research, years of resources. To even get people to understand it from outside, it's so difficult. So we have to build these systems in-house. Our first system is a proactive inspection system that enables you to organize inspection on a continuous basis in a proactive manner that you don't miss out anything. Before customers will complain about something not working, our inspection model, which is also GPS connected, I have over 200 locations. And from each of those locations, I deploy managers there. They are geographically spread apart in different countries, in different states. But right from my desk here, I know who is doing his inspection, because there's a time you must do it, and every point you must go to, it is GPS mapped. And if you get there, you will definitely see something that is not working or working. That's the technology we've deployed. It's an app. So you take your app, you go around, you do the inspection. As soon as you finish, good, not good, require repair, it sends your information back to a database where somebody picks all the things that need to be done for that day. So using that, we have reduced the level of corrective maintenance, which you do under crisis, by more than 80%. The second one is a new technology we call call to fix. What is call to fix? Call to fix is like Uber. It's the first of its type that we are deploying. So it commercializes the process of people having access to technicians. So you can sit in the house within a radius of 30 minutes to 1 hour driving distance. The closest technician to you, a plumber, electrician, air conditioner operator, will be available to you to serve you. So that's another technology we've deployed. And currently, we are in the process of actually commercializing that. Then we have e-learning, because a lot of people want to go for courses. They want to understand property and facilities management. The time to do it is a difficult one. Organizations have big real estate asset portfolio. They have departments running it. But to take 1 week off is difficult. So we've deployed an e-learning platform that allows people to take courses from the comfort of their offices, of their home, and everything. Then we have what we call AMSA, that's AlphaMeet Sales Agent. So for our development, I agree with Lukman. When you look at the property management and the broking space, technology is high there. So you can have access to a wide network of sales agents that work on your platform and deploy services to you. Executive sponsorship is important to put money behind this development. If you don't do that, it's not going to succeed, because people want to see that the CEO is interested in applying technology to solve their problem. And then the organization must be behind it. You put the best resources there. Don't put people who are not doing well in other departments into facilities for property management. They will never succeed. So it's very important for us to understand that if you fail to get those things right, deploying technology to solve any real estate problem will fail. Thank you.
Excellent. Thank you, Femi. That was very, very interesting. And I think this topic actually is a conversation that needs to be had a lot more. We've spoken about, obviously, the challenges. Investment is a big thing. And then also you said when you get down to the actual practical implications, as a real estate service provider who wants to adopt technology, you need to be pragmatic and focused, as you would adopt a new accounting system. You need to think of it like that. Implementation is key. And like you said, don't get caught up in the fanciful, all the sort of perhaps gimmicks, etc. Because some people, they've been missold, and it really hurts the technology sector's reputation. It's happened. I've heard it a number of times in South Africa, and I'm sure across the continent. So that's key. And then another question I had, which we probably won't get to, is about education. So I'm really glad you mentioned that. I'm involved with real estate education and workshops, and also online courses. So as a whole, I think it's crucial, but also that education should incorporate PropTech and innovation, so that our young blood are aware of it. And then also there should be executive level, mid-level programs where people can understand what this is about. So it breaks down those barriers, where people are perhaps worried about technology, or they're worried that they don't understand it, so they won't adopt it. They might feel threatened, etc. So thank you for raising that. That's also really key. And online, obviously, it's face-to-face has clear benefits, but obviously online is a fantastic medium, especially in the days, the times we live in. So very, very crucial. Look, Munia, we've coming to the end of our session, but if I could ask you just for some brief key points, because I know you've also lived through this. Femi just took us through some key considerations when actually implementing technology. So providing a traditional real estate service, are there any tips or any pain points perhaps that you could touch on? We've got about 2 minutes, but your insight would be really valuable.
I mean, I think my insights is just any insights for any technology company trying to provide technology to an industry, where you need to provide a service of a problem they already have, and not trying to provide technology for what you think that their problem is, or whatever it is. I think that Mr. is already touched into that, where it actually understanding the challenges and the operations of the industry before trying to build technology for it. And then that comes with experience.
Yes.
Right. So that's just going back to my first point about collaborations between the two spaces, because unlike the other industries, they are run by two diverse generations. So there has to be that collaboration between the two. I mean, obviously, you know what we're doing, where we built VAMP FI, which is which is going into big data analytics and monitoring service performance for the FM space. And obviously, we've also built Resido, which is almost like co-sharing of service providers.
Lukman, I think. Sorry, your line seems. Your line seems to be interrupted.
FM companies like us, and which will be rolling out next year. So yeah, I know it's it's been my fault. My connection's been bad today, but I'm sure Mr. Femi Akindele has gotten most of the major points, and I've heard him speak quite a few times. So I know he's well equipped to talk about this industry. So I'm sure he said the major things that needs to be said.
Excellent. Thank you, Lukman. Yeah, great points there. Also with what Femi said.
Back to you, Sean.
Thank you, Lukman.
Hello?
One of the points which Femi also touched on is to focus on the problem. I think,
Can you hear
like
me?
you said, that's a general tech or even a service provider, solution provider is focus on the problem and don't get distracted by unnecessary things, because there's got to be that pragmatic approach and the goal at the end of the day. And the other thing is, like we've said, and I think it can't be said enough, is
I can hear you.
Tech, developers need to make the effort to be aware of how the industry functions and understand where their clients are coming from, especially if they're brand new to the industry. So that really is crucial.
Did you get everything I said? I'm not sure.
This has been a great conversation. I think Lukman and Femi, you both really well placed to talk about this topic. And it's great to hear about the really exciting technology and innovations both your organizations are driving. So it really is fantastic. And just one point you mentioned it, Lukman, is data, especially within property management facilities. It generates a wealth of data, and I think we've got to focus more on that, especially within the African context across the board. But it's the new oil, and it's the lifeblood of any tech. So I think our property data, we need to focus on that. But yes, I think we need to end there. Sorry, Lukman. I don't think we can actually hear you. But yes, I just wish to thank you both very much, Femi and Lukman, and obviously look forward to keeping in touch with both of you. And thank you to everyone for joining the session.
Thank you very much, Sean. Thank you, Lukman. Have a great day, everybody.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Thank you, Sean, and
we have actually set up
and thank you, Lukman.